where the rubber always meets the road, I think. Actually, I'm not even sure what that means.
Heartland Newsfeed Radio Network, live at heartlandnewsfeed.com.
Studio guest Trisha Braid with the Illinois Corn Growers will be in. No doubt we'll be talking about that Super Bowl commercial for sure. We'll also be getting a congressional update on issues affecting agriculture and in particular Illinois corn growers. DeLoss has had a very busy week. In fact, the most of the program today is from DeLoss. He's out this morning at Illinois Society of Professional Farm Managers and Appraisers. That will be very interesting conversations as they look at land values ahead of another growing season. So a couple of segments from that event. Also, Kelly Estes, a regular on the program. DeLoss Talk with Kelly for an insect update and basically recouping from the bitter cold last few weeks in Illinois. This is going to help us out in the insect front as we edge closer to the growing season. All that, plus we'll, of course, check in on markets later in the program coming your way on RFD today. A preview of tomorrow's show. Don Schaefer from Midwest Truckers will be in studio, and he'll give us a full recap of last weekend's truck and trailer show in Peoria. Stay tuned for more. This is RFD Today.
Look up, look down, look around, look up, look down, look around, in the trees and on the ground, 'cause the ALB must be found.
If you're hearing this, you should be concerned about the Asian longhorn beetle, an invasive species that's destroying our trees. But you can help. Look for the signs and help stop the beetle.
Look up, look down, look around, look up, look down, look around, in the trees and on the ground, 'cause the ALB must be found.
Some signs of the ALB are dime-sized holes on tree trunks, a sawdust-like material called frass, and the beetle itself, with a long black body and white spots.
Look up, look down, look around, look up, look down, look around, in the trees and on the ground, 'cause the ALB must be found.
Learn all the signs and how to report them at AsianLonghornedBeetle.com. That's AsianLonghornedBeetle.com.
When it comes to our members, Chris Magnuson connects rural routes for you. Chris leads Illinois Farm Bureau's efforts to provide valuable information to our members. He has spent 2 decades with IFB. Here's a bit about his rural roots.
I grew up on a farm with corn, soybeans, and Christmas trees. I've been in ag communication for 3 decades now. My greatest satisfaction has always remained the same, to serve our members.
Be it routes or roots, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
If you're in the mood for some sprucing up, you're in luck. From big to small or farm to front yard, your Illinois Farm Bureau member discount from John Deere is ready and waiting to help. It's easy to think green when it's the Rewards Loyalty Program with savings on equipment, special parts, and home and workshop products. Whether your tasks involve mowing, planting, or cleaning, you'll be set for whatever your work requires. All you need to do is sign up, have your membership number handy, and go to johndeere.com/Farm Bureau.
Pick up your copy or advertise in Farm Week's Spring Planting Special Edition, publishing February 18. Call 800-676-2353 or email farmads@ilfb.org. All right, joining us over the phones now is Kelly Estes from over in Champaign-Urbana, University of Illinois State Ag Pest Survey Coordinator. Kelly, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Not too shabby. Waiting for the temperatures to drop, which should be an adventure. And I'm sure a lot of people are wondering what this kind of recent weather we've been having. Maybe we could wash some away, or maybe we could freeze some away. But hard to predict what all this means for pest populations in a couple months.
It is. That's the question of the week and of the month so far. Of course, with the extreme cold temperatures we had last week, it didn't take long for the questions to start surfacing, and I think everybody wants something good to come out of that deep freeze we were in there real briefly. And, when temperatures do get that cold, I'm sure we are going to get some mortality and benefit of insects dying, but of course it's sometimes hard to remember that just because we are experiencing a certain temperature doesn't mean the insects are experiencing that same temperature based on their body composition and how they're overwintering, whether it's adult stage, egg stage, and of course where they're overwintering, in the ground or underneath bark or in field debris, and are they under 10 inches of snow that's insulating them as well.
When we talked a month ago, we had probably 6 weeks of mild for the most part, and you said it could be a pretty busy spring for you. Like 2 months out of 3 in the wintertime, the 2 months can have a lot more bearing on that third month, I guess.
I think that's still a fair statement. The big thing with insects is the length of cold. Obviously, if we had a very long period of extreme cold, that would definitely impact them some. But quite honestly, with many insects, repeated freeze-thaw cycles will have a bigger detriment to them than just the cold itself. Insects often will, for lack of a better term, hibernate. They overwinter, and they can basically super cool their body to the surrounding temperatures enough for them to survive. So as things start to warm, their body temperature adjusts, and then it cools. And so if you get rapid swings of temperature, they can't necessarily keep up with it. And then, of course, with rootworm eggs, whatever is out there, the freeze-thaw of the soil is going to impact those eggs as well.
Well, if I had a bunch of problems with Japanese beetles last year, for example, then just hoping they all froze is one management practice, but maybe not the preferred one.
Definitely not the preferred one. And I think, this recent weather probably will hopefully impact some of those populations, but those populations were so very, very high in the western and northwestern part of the state that, you're going to get some percentage of the population affected, but a small percentage of a very large population still leaves a lot of Japanese beetles in the area.
And you could probably cut Japanese beetles and paste it with just about any of your choice at that point. Pretty much, yes.
Although Japanese beetles for Illinois seem to be one of the biggest pest issues of 2018, and as we go into 2019, that seems to be a big concern.
One of the things that you'll be doing now, so you talk plenty about what this means for corn soybean crops, for example, but there are plenty of others, specialty growers in particular, that maybe they have the same, but they also have their own burdens when it comes to pests and creepy crawlies.
They do, and there are some that overwinter here, and a lot of those specialty growers will be looking at spring migration patterns of several insects, corn earworm being one of them for our sweet corn growers. So as we get into February and, with the groundhog and saying that spring's coming, we'll be looking at getting our insect trapping network up and going in March as well, and looking at those migrating pests coming from the south.
How far south can they come from, or does it just matter? Is it just something over the course of a few years they just keep making their way up here?
So we look at mostly looking at insects that are migrating up from the Gulf states. And so with corn earworm, black cutworm's another one that we will, are two major ones that we'll trap for in early spring. And they'll catch those southerly winds. And I was actually thinking about that a couple days ago when we had very warm 50 degrees and southerly winds in February, and I thought if this was March, I would be looking at traps pretty hard for insects the next day.
Wow, because here they'd come, just simple as that.
Yep.
How about that? Every once in a while, you see things that you would expect to be in a cornfield would be in a soybean field, for example, or vice versa. Can that be the same with, like you were talking about, sweet corn or some other crop or some other plant, some other fruit even, where you think, well, that's not supposed to be here, but it may have come from someone or something pretty close by?
Yeah, insects have some degree of movement. Some will move farther than others. So you get that movement back and forth between crops. Sometimes it makes no difference because they're just hanging out there. And other times, with other insects, they have a very large host range or a bigger host range where they can be a pest in corn and soybeans or apples and peaches or fruit like apple and peaches and soybeans when you think of something like brown marmorated stink bug. It's always important to make note if you find something unusual and ask questions if you're not sure if it should be there or not, because if you never ask, you never know.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thanks so much. Safe travels, and I'm sure we'll see you soon.
Yeah, likewise.
Kelly Estes, Illinois Pest Survey Coordinator. More to come on RFD today.
Farm Week and FarmWeekNow.com journalist Dina Stroish connects rural routes for you. From the Farm Bill to crop insurance to GMO labeling, her expertise is apparent in the stories she reports. Here's a bit about her rural roots.
I get to meet interesting people and share their stories, and I get paid to do it. I cover ag policy and really enjoy keeping the farming community updated on these important issues.
Be it routes or roots, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
Farm, family, food. Those three words best describe Illinois Farm Bureau. Farm. For 100 years, Farm Bureau in Illinois has represented and served the men and women who make Illinois one of the top food-producing states. Family. At the heart of rural Illinois are traditional farm families who work together through Illinois Farm Bureau. And food. Farm Bureau families are proud to grow the healthy food they provide their families and yours. Farm, family, food. The heart of Farm Bureau in Illinois.
You're going to need me.
You're going to need us.
All of us.
You're going to need our technical skills,
our math, our engineering skills.
You're going to need our help with your water, your air, your food.
You're going to need our organizational skills, our problem-solving skills.
You're going to need our determination, our honesty, our compassion.
You're going to need the next generation of leaders to face the challenges the future will bring.
And we promise, we'll be there when you need us.
Today, 4-H is growing the next generation of leaders. Support us at 4h.org.
I was visiting my 75-year-old aunt the other day when her phone rang.
Hello? It's you again.
She seemed nervous.
Well, I don't think I need any more life insurance.
The caller was doing a great job keeping my aunt on the line.
Okay, so you need my credit card number?
My aunt went to get her purse, so I decided that I would ask a few questions. Well, as soon as I introduced myself, the caller hung up.
McGruff, the crime dog here. Recognizing the signs of fraud can be difficult for older people. Often they're very trusting and consider it impolite to hang up. The National Crime Prevention Council wants to educate seniors so that these scams can be reported to local law enforcement agencies.
Financial fraud can include identity theft, fake check and wire transfer scams, investment and credit card fraud, and online charitable solicitations. Unfortunately, only 1 in 5 of these crimes are reported. To learn more, go to ncpc.org/seniors. That's ncpc.org/seniors. A message from the National Crime Prevention Council and the U.S. Department of Justice.
All right, we're down in Decatur. The Illinois Society of Professional Farm Managers and Rural Appraisers. Always have to start from the beginning. You got to be able to get that name right. Their president is Rob Woodrow, who lives in Tazewell County and works in Sherman, in Sangamon County, but apparently it's worth the drive.
I've done that for over 30 years. I've ran the FSA office in Sangamon County for 10 years and switched over to farm management after that. So I've been doing that over 20 years.
You know, that's an interesting, since you mentioned that, surely there are times when the farm manager, you know, in your case you're working with absentee landlords, but surely you have connections with FSA offices all the time that all of a sudden can run into a speed bump when you have things like a shutdown.
Oh yeah, that affects everything we do. It's different on the other side of the counter. So
sure,
it's like, why can't we do it this way? Because the rules changed. That's why.
That's exactly why. That's right. So you mentioned you live on the family's sesquicentennial farm.
Yes.
So dating well into the 1800s.
Yes, we've been on the farm since 1852.
Wow. How many generations?
My boys are the seventh.
Boys are the seventh. Okay. Now, is that irrigated where you are? So you're in Green Valley. You're getting certainly close to irrigation pit?
Yeah, we are irrigated. Our farm is irrigated.
And then, as a farm manager, I assume you're working with a lot of absentee landlords. So, and that may also be in the family for generations as well.
Yes, I do work with some landowners who have owned the farm nearly as long as we have. So, yeah, they've been in the area since the 1850s also.
But depending on how far removed, and that could be time, and that could be distance, managing the expectations to go with that farmland, I'm sure, is pretty significant.
Yes, it is. Yes. Some of the farms are cash rent, some are crop share, some of them we're transitioning to organic. It's very interesting. Very interesting.
Well, now that's interesting where this could be a new generation taking over, or this could be just someone, reading or listening or hearing things and saying, well, why don't we do this, whatever that is, whether that's organic or whatever the case is, where, they probably would ask you, is it even worth considering?
It's both, but it's really being driven by the next generation of ownership, because those are the ones who are buying the products in the store, the organic products, and now they're saying, why aren't we doing this on our farm?
So that's what we're doing. So you give advice. Surely you don't tell them what to do, but you just try to advise them as best you can.
Well, as a farm manager, we work with the tenant to transition it to organic and to make the organic plan, put the organic plan together and work on the certification process. We're very hands involved with the organic transition and organic farm management.
Mm-hmm. Now, the person who had been renting that farm for quite some time may not be part of that transition, however. Is that conceivable?
That is very conceivable. We've had to make some changes occasionally. And sometimes it's generational or an age. A farmer who's 65, 70 years old, they don't want to make that change.
Sure.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Understandable.
May not have the equipment or, just the wherewithal to be able to do that. Now, when you do something like that, does that mean that any of the terms have to change? Because it may take a few years to really get that ground into a kind of place where it would thrive in a different environment, so that may take a little time, so maybe not year after year. Could that change also the price then that someone's asking for?
Generally what we do is if it's the farms that have been cash rent, we've changed back to crop share leases, the old 50-50 crop share lease. That's my preferred way of doing it, because I tell the clients, that proves to the tenant you're serious about it. You put skin in the game.
I would imagine you've had a couple cases as well where someone reads in the news or hears on the radio, well, what was this about this facilitation payment that came about? That's something that went to the farmers, but the landowners over there going now, hey, what's going on over here?
Right. Well, the landowners who participated in the production on the farm, it was a nice payment, and it was a good payment for the tenants also. Well deserved. With the bean crop in Illinois this year, it was a substantial amount of money to the farmers.
Yeah. They may have 250 corn on there, and the landowner, and it doesn't matter what state they're in, but the landowner may just hear 250 corn and think, well, this, either we raise the rent or, what are we talking about with financial difficulties? But, know about production but not know about price. So those kind of lines have to be open.
Yes, that's what we do. Our landowners or clients rely on us to help determine what the cash rent should be. I think generally in Central Illinois, where the production was high, most cash rents stayed the same. Some areas they've gone down. I've changed flex leases a little bit to change with the times.
That's interesting. So you've been doing this quite some time, 20 years now?
Over 20 years.
No more than 20 years, and new things seem to pop up, maybe not every day, but certainly regularly.
Every day. You never know what's on the other end of that phone call when you pick it up, but it's always changing.
Yeah, especially if you don't know that phone number, then, I mean, every day it could bring a new opportunity.
It does bring new opportunities every day.
Land Values Conference is next month, I believe.
That's correct. That's March 15th, I believe, in Bloomington.
Okay. That'll be an interesting one just to see where we are. And I'd like to think, Dale Opperly's used the term break but not a bubble. Hopefully that's the kind of thing that you've been seeing so far.
Actually, I don't think we're going to see much of a decline at all. We had to have our farm appraised at home from my dad's estate 2 years ago, from my mom's estate this year, and it actually went up 10%.
10%?
Yeah.
How about that? Rob Woodrow, president of the Illinois Society of Professional Farm Managers and Rural Appraisers. Their annual meeting is taking place in Decatur. We'll have more to come on RFD today.
More farm news and information ahead. Stay tuned for more RFD Today here on the Illinois Farm Bureau Radio Network.
RFD Radio Network's Rita Frazier connects rural routes for you. Rita delivers passion and reliable information to listeners on the RFD Radio Network. Her radio career spans close to 3 decades. Here's a bit about her rural roots.
I grew up on a small farm. My job today allows me to connect with people from all walks of life and experience opportunity every day. I get to talk about what I love, farming.
Be it routes or roots, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
Attention corn farmers. Your corn checkoff dollars are working with the U.S. Meat Export Federation to grow red meat export volumes. Because when we're exporting beef, we're also exporting corn. The beef industry consumes 28% of all corn fed to livestock, plus additional corn in the form of DDGs, a co-product of ethanol production. Now that's what we call working an angle. Your checkoff is working corn from all angles. Because of the Illinois Corn Marketing Board, your profitability is our bottom line. A message from the Illinois Corn Checkoff.
The USDA, National Agricultural Statistics Service, or NASS, recently mailed a survey to Illinois farmers that gives your farm a voice. You can help provide important data that will shape the future of nutrient laws and conservation in Illinois. Look for your NASS survey in the mail in early February. If you receive the survey, take a few minutes and complete it and return it in the prepaid envelope. Together, we are making a difference in Illinois water quality. Visit ilfb.org/NLRS for more information.
All ag.
All Illinois.
All now.
There are a lot of smartphone apps out there, but do they have what's important to us here in Illinois? The Farm Week Now app does, and it's always at your fingertips. All ag, all Illinois, and 24/7 where and when you need it for free. Go to your app or Play Store on your smartphone, hit search, type in Farm Week Now, that's one word, and download it today. Brought to you by Illinois Farm Bureau, where we're all about farm, family, and food.
Leading your family farm is what you know best. Paying bills, making marketing decisions, and leaving the farm better for the next generation. Farm Bureau needs you to lead our organization and champion our legislative priorities. Farmers will be working with a new governor, Congress, and General Assembly. Illinois agriculture only remains strong when farmers realize this power and continue taking charge of change. Join us for the 2019 Governmental Affairs Leadership Conference. This one-day event takes place February 19th at the President Abraham Lincoln Hotel in Springfield. Hear from keynote speaker Jesse Waters, co-host of The Five and host of Fox News program Waters World. Don't miss this opportunity to cover policy information, state and national legislative updates, and end with a legislative reception with members of the Illinois General Assembly. Register today and start taking charge of change. Contact your county farm bureau or visit ilfb.org/GALC for more information.
All right, welcome back. We're in Decatur, Society of Professional Farm Managers and Rural Appraisers annual meeting, and Gary Snitke for a long time has been their secretary-treasurer. I was just talking with Rob, the president, about the notion of managing expectations. So you might have an absentee landlord, could be in town or could be on the coast, either coast, and they may hear about productivity, but that doesn't necessarily translate to profitability. So I assume within the membership you, help warn people about this, which is now an extended cycle of low commodity prices.
Yeah, the expectations obviously are important. Productivity is good. Prices need prices as well. So as we move into these lower price periods, understanding what those return levels are is important, and we aren't going to always have a period like we did from 2008 through 2012, and we're in a lower price of cycle right now.
The problem is, how long is this cycle going to last? The horizon just never seems to change in what we're doing right now.
Yeah, and we've probably taken some more price off soybeans. We're looking at low nines rather than high nines moving forward. Low nines mean 50 cents lower prices and $40-50 less return from soybeans. At the same time, we have cost increases as well, particularly fertilizer. So, yeah, those things are coming together. And again, we're looking at lower returns. And, for an absentee landowner, keeping those lower returns in perspective with the volatility of other assets is important as well.
This has been the year that people have been warning about for a while now, and it seems like it is coming to fruition. Input costs higher, commodity prices, not a whole lot of relief in sight there. So we've seen this coming, and it really is here now that we made it to 2019.
Yeah, and we hope that we can have some exceptional yields like we've had in the past several years, but there's no guarantee that will happen this year. So we'll see where all that leads this year.
Because what you do is still based on trend line.
Yep.
So a guy or gal may have hit 250 on corn 3 or 4 years in a row, and would be quite disappointed to see 200. You never thought you'd be disappointed to see 200, but what you do, you still have to operate on trend lines. You can't operate on the what if.
Yep. So, bringing us back to trend line. And again, we've had in Illinois good yields since 2012, continuing stretch of years 2013 through 2018, very good years. And 2019 doesn't necessarily have to be that way. So we'll see what that year brings. It's important to realize that a lot of areas outside of Illinois in the Corn Belt haven't had as good years as we have, so it can't happen here.
In a year where so much fall work didn't get done, even winter annuals taking care of weeds or putting on nitrogen in the fall, since that didn't get done and we're warning about 2019, we have some management practices we could do before planting time, but if we're talking about these tight margins, the difficulty between farming the marketplace and, striving for a big crop.
Yeah, so this year it might be the year where we experiment with lower inputs, particularly on nitrogen fertilizers, figure out if we really need levels above the MRTN. Maybe we can cut back to MRTN and see what happens there. We also have the opportunity perhaps to do less tillage, and some of the PCM results we see suggest that you don't get higher yields with a lot of tillage. So cutting back tillage, cutting back nitrogen may be worthwhile this year.
Fuel price has been a nice relief so far, hasn't it?
A nice relief so far. The bigger, and which should lead in the longer run to lower fuel prices, the bigger price increases this year will be on fertilizers. So looking at ways of using that more economically would be a good thing to do.
Would you have expected more elasticity, more response in cash rental rates? Does it depend on what part of the state that you're in? But, year after year of low commodity prices, the rates don't necessarily go down at all, certainly not significantly.
Yeah, we've seen a They have been very sticky, and cash rents are always sticky, and we saw them go up slower than during that 2008 through 2012 period, and now they're coming down slow. Next year we will have to make adjustments, particularly if we get trend yields, and then the rubber sort of hits the road and everybody looks at each other, and then we're going to have to see some reductions in cash rents.
I was just told to talk to me anytime you want to talk about organic, because especially the next generation of farmland owners that are asking about transitioning. So is that more documentation for you, just to show what these prices are, or is that just a different thing altogether?
Organic is, we see people making money at organic. Concern you, and those individuals in that market do have higher returns. The concern you have is if you have too many people switch and the premiums go away. So, you sort of walk that tight line between, if we see a lot of people go into it, the premiums come down.
Yeah, that's one of the magic variables. It sounds great until enough people do it, then it doesn't sound as great anymore. Gary, good to see you. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me today.
Gary Snitke, Secretary-Treasurer of the Society of Professional Farm Managers and Rural Appraisers. Their annual meeting is in Decatur. We'll have more to come on RFD today.
Farm Week and FarmWeekNow.com journalist Kay Shipman connects rural routes for you. For 3 decades, Kay has delivered important news. She covers everything from legislative issues to the latest in soil and water conservation. Here's a bit about her rural roots.
I love covering so many aspects of agriculture and providing readers with the facts they need to make better decisions. I also get to work with farmers and meet new people along the way.
Be it routes or roots, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
We know you want the best for your family. We do too. That's why Illinois farmers continually look for new ways to help. We're working with Mother Nature to preserve water, protect land, and provide food. From our fields to your table, we want what's best for all of us and for future generations to come. Learn more about conservation efforts at ilfarmersconserve.com. Preserving our water, protecting our land, providing our food.
This message brought to you by Illinois Farm Bureau.
Taking a look at your commodity markets this hour, we're still trading lower across the board. Corn, beans, and wheat. Nearby March corn down 2 1/4, 377 3/4. May down 2 1/4. September corn down 2, 396 1/2. And new crop December down 2 at 401. March beans down 5 3/4, 916. May down 5 1/2. August down 5 1/2, 949. New crop November down 4 3/4, 958 1/4. Nearby March wheat down 10 1/4, 515 3/4. Out to September we're down 8 3/4, trading at 530. Bean meal for May down 240, 310.60. And soybean oil for March we're up to at 30.92. Lean hogs for April down $1.10, 59.80.
Joining us on the phone now is Rod Hebrink, President and CEO of Compeer Financial. Rod, how are you today? Thanks for joining us.
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And it is, I assume it is patronage time. Patronage, whichever you say, something's coming in the mail pretty soon. So hopefully that'll be welcome news for your members.
Well, yes, it is. We've actually split the patronage time into 2 different segments during the year. And in February, we pay out some of the allocated equities that were distributed to or allocated to our stockholders just prior to the merger from the 3 organizations. And so we're accelerating those. We're paying out $52 million in distributions this week to the stockholders in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Illinois, to be followed by another $100 million of cash patronage from fiscal 2018 August 1st of this year.
Wow. Okay. So that's a change in the way you've distributed things then?
Yes, it is. Some of the predecessor organizations did not have allocated equities, and those were created at the time of merger. And so we will be paying those out over the next 7 to 8 years as a part of our ongoing program. And then cash patronage, which was a part of some of the predecessor organizations, that's our long-term program. But it's been a significant increase this year. The board of directors approved about a 40% increase in our patronage program from 2017 on into fiscal 2018. And so in total, between those two distributions, we're paying out $152 million to our 35,000 stockholders across those 3 states.
I don't want this to sound too obvious or too simple of a question, but why do you do patronage? Why do you feel it's important?
Well, first of all, Compeer is a cooperative, and that's part of the cooperative model. Our stockholders are our clients, and we want to return the benefits that would normally accrue to stockholders to those clients, and the form that we do that is through the patronage program. But secondly, I think from time to time we might get questions from clients, well, if you're going to distribute it anyway, why don't you just lower my interest rate on the front end, and then you wouldn't have to pay it out to me later on. And that seems to make common sense. We go out into the market and raise the funds that we lend to farmers through selling bonds to investors, and the investors want to know that there's a good, strong financial organization backing them up. That's what helps to lower our cost of funds and be able to charge less to our clients. And so what we do is we have to demonstrate good financial metrics like any other financial institution to maintain the confidence of the investment community. And then at the end, we can return the earnings to our stockholders.
There's probably not a lot of flexibility with the actual interest rate, is there? That's why you go other routes to find things.
Well, and of course, we have to follow market rates in terms of when we go out and borrow, it's going to be at today's market rates, not what it was a month ago or 6 months ago. And so we are going to follow the market up and down in that regard. But we also have clients who choose all kinds of rates. And so today, for example, variable rates, and you may have, some of the listeners may be aware that the Federal Reserve has been raising rates on the short end, and so prime has gone up, and some of the short-term operating loan rates have gone up. And again, we may get questions about, well, why not just hold back on some of those rates? But our clients make all kinds of different choices, from loans that have a variable rate that might change from month to month to loans with fixed rates of 20 years or more. And so we really only have about 1 out of $7 or $8 that are lent at variable rates. And so we wouldn't have a very equitable distribution of the benefits of a cooperative if we were to hold just the short-term interest rates. And so we get a more equitable distribution of those benefits by paying patronage across the entire client and stockholder base, regardless of the rate and product that they have selected.
Now, Compeer was bringing together 3, including First Farm Credit of Illinois, about a year and a half ago. So how's everything going so far? Hopefully it has been as smooth of a transition as you could hope for.
It's gone extraordinarily well, probably more smoothly than I had hoped for or planned for at the beginning, and that's a testament to the team across the 3 states that we operate in. We have 1,200 team members working with about 42,000 clients in those 3 states. So it's gone very well, and I think that links back to the patronage program as well and some of the benefits that we're now seeing for our clients. At the time of the merger, we said we believed we'd be able to save about $15 million a year in annual expenses, and that has materialized, and that flows directly through to the bottom line. We also told our stockholders that one of the benefits of putting the 3 organizations together was to create a more stable, diverse portfolio, and that's really important to a financial institution. That has, in fact, materialized, and that's one of the reasons that we're in a strong financial position to be able to increase the patronage payments across all 3 states. none of the organizations individually would have been able to quite accomplish what Compeer is doing as a combined organization.
You know, there have probably been times where you have, whether it's rescued or saved, or you've acquired something that was really in need of help, and so that takes a lot of time and resources to do so. But when you put three healthy organizations together, then that surely makes things go a lot better.
Well, absolutely, and of course we started that process in 2015. Agriculture was very, very healthy then, so it was the right time to do it. None of the organizations were challenged financially in any way, and I think that created some concerns. You know, why do you merge in a healthy, in a strong time? Mm-hmm. But that's exactly the time to do it when you can see the benefits and you're not trying to rescue anyone along the way. But yes, working through financial challenges, be it collectively in agriculture, or for us, really every client is individual and has their unique set of needs. It does take a significant amount of time, but that's part of our commitment, the mission of the organization that we have of serving agriculture in rural America.
All right. What's ahead for 2019 for you?
Well, there continue to be challenges in agriculture, and we see variations across our three states, but everywhere grain is a significant part of our portfolio, and we know that the economics are still pretty tight. And so our objective is to work with clients individually, one at a time, to help them work through their circumstances, work with their goals and objectives, to find the solution and the path forward that fits them and allows them to accomplish their goals, whatever that might be.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for doing this. Congratulations to you and also to those who will be receiving the patronage as well. And best of luck for I guess what's still, it's February now, but still for the new year.
Yes, thank you very much. And we're just proud and excited to be able to share the benefits with our stockholders and look forward to continuing to grow Compeer in fulfilling our mission of serving agriculture in rural America.
Rob Hebring, President and CEO of Compeer Financial, which brought three groups together, including First Farm Credit of Illinois back in middle of 2017. Rita Frazier is up next on RFD Today.
Here's your livestock summary on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Rita Frazier. Let's check the cash numbers first. Illinois direct hogs yesterday steady 27 to a top of $36. In Greenville yesterday, a nice run. In fact, 830 head, really playing catch up from the week prior. We were at just below 400 with that cold temperature. So yesterday we were on the steers and heifers 115 to a cash top of 130 for some high dressing steers and heifers in Greenville midweek. Let's look at the futures prices as we roll on a Thursday. We're down 20 in the Feb lean hogs, 55.72. April down 110, 59.80. Live cattle April down 32, 126.82. And April feeder cattle down a quarter, 144.60. Those are your numbers on the RFD Radio Network.
How do people benefit from raising livestock here in Illinois? Rich Giebert, Illinois farmer, president of the Illinois Farm Bureau.
Well, growing up on a livestock farm was always interesting, and I enjoy it more today than I did back then. But it did give me the opportunity to have a good work ethic, learn to get up in the morning. And you know, that was difficult during my senior days at high school and college days. I had a tendency not to go to bed at a respectable hour. But no, it was always enjoyable on the farm and getting up before daybreak and milking the cows and getting the chores done and then go about the rest of the day's business.
Illinois Farm Bureau, along with beef, corn, milk, pork, and soybean associations, make up the Livestock Development Group, supporting the Illinois livestock sector. For more information, check out illinoislivestock.org.
We're back here on RFD Today in studio with Tricia Braid, Illinois Corn, and you're no stranger to this studio or this program. And Mr. Nick over there, our producer, has been awed by people like Colleen Callahan, knowing those bumpers and times. You can also be in awe of Tricia because she's also very familiar. She put on her headphones just at the right time to come back into the segment. We want to talk about, I don't know, a Super Bowl commercial?
Yeah, so there was a thing on Sunday night during the big game, and many of us were watching it. I mean, I was actually watching the commercials only because I'm not particularly a fan of football. But anyway, so a thing happened, and there was a commercial for Bud Light, part of a series. And in this funny, let me just say that the style of the ads never appealed to me, but clearly they appeal to a lot of people or they wouldn't do them. Anyhow, there was a group of medieval folks who had found a misdelivered cask of corn syrup to the Bud Light castle. And the king says, we don't use corn syrup in our beer. That must belong at Miller Lite's castle. And so then it's this trek across the medieval tundra or whatever it was to deliver this misdelivered cask of corn syrup. So anyway, there was some folks out in the countryside that didn't appreciate that, and mainly corn farmers who were upset by this ad. And if you're on Twitter, you may have seen some folks pouring out their Bud Light or demanding apologies from Bud Light. The National Corn Growers Association did tweet, hey, Bud Light, we're disappointed in your ad. Our offices are just down the street. Hey, let's talk about this. And, moving forward, those talks have happened. The folks at Anheuser-Busch and National Corn Growers are having a conversation about helping Anheuser-Busch understand why this was such a sensitive thing to corn farmers of America. To some corn farmers of America, clearly not all of them were tweeting about it. But I think really at the base of it, Rita, is just that it's just a tough time. And I know you guys talk about that here on the RFD Radio Network, and the farm economy is difficult right now. And there was a big story out yesterday on the wires about an increasing number of bankruptcies being filed in farm country. And maybe it was just that during the Super Bowl, which is a time that many people of all stripes look forward to having a party and watching some funny ads, and that one just didn't feel very funny to some people. And I think moving forward, what we can do is, number one, it's kind of on an opportunity side of things, it's a good opportunity to talk about all the items that that corn is in.
Yes.
We've learned together now as an outcome of this through meetings with Pete Coors from Miller Coors Brewing Company that they use 20 million bushels of corn every year in their beer production. So I think all of us are getting a fast lesson in brewing, which has been interesting. And let's remember, too, that there are many rice farmers who are benefiting from Bud Light's choice to use rice. So I think what it boils down to, again, is personal choice. And maybe some folks that didn't know there was corn in beer to begin with now do. Maybe some folks that are corn farmers that didn't know there wasn't corn in Bud Light now do. And, you might see some choices changing because of that. But, moving forward, I think it's an opportunity to have a conversation with your friends and neighbors and just understand that there are many ingredients in our food products, and that we, particularly as corn farmers, are proud of our crop, and we are proud of where it ends up, and that we know we're part of the economy.
Mm-hmm. It's clear to me, Linda Olson, when she was with Illinois Farm Family, she always loved it when you came along on the farm mom visits, when they took city moms to the country, to the farms, because you have a way of explaining that's both pleasing to the farmers, but also very educational to those consumers. You have a very good way of relating.
Well, thanks, Rita. I mean, I work on that, and I think it's important to, we all get emotional at times, and I think most of us would understand that the best decisions probably aren't made at times of high emotion. So we're humans, we get emotional. So everybody simmer down a bit. Hey, if corn is important to you and you are making a choice about which beverage to have, then now you have more knowledge. You can drink knowledgeably and responsibly and make those choices. And I think that's important. Just big picture choices are important for all of us. Whether you have, you should have choices on your farm about the production methods you use. You have choices about where to market your commodities. And hopefully we're also supportive of consumers having choices. We may not understand their choices sometimes. We are certainly wanting that there be good information out there that says, hey, corn syrup isn't a bad thing. It's just not the sugar we're choosing to use in this beer. But don't forget, it's not bad.
About a minute and a half left. You are packing your bags, or soon will be, to go to Commodity Classic with many, many Illinois corn farmers.
That's right. We're going to have thousands and thousands of people down at Commodity Classic in Orlando this year. So you have wheat growers, and you have soybean farmers and corn farmers, and also now the Association of Equipment Manufacturers joining us in Orlando. If you've never been to Commodity Classic and you can make it, this is probably the year to go if you've never been, because Orlando is so accessible to so many people. You can bring the family and have a nice visit there in Orlando itself with many of the family attractions. But Commodity Classic is a meeting like none other from an educational standpoint for farmers. So while you're attending as a farmer and you're going to that fantastic trade show and you're going to the learning sessions, you can know that your associations are then in their business meetings, and that's where we form that grassroots policy that's come up through the states. And for the corn folks, it's called Corn Congress, and we will spend 2 4-hour sessions on Thursday morning and Saturday afternoon working on that grassroots policy. Hope everybody can join us there.
Tricia Braid, one of the best in the industry as we celebrate agriculture. We'll be back with you tomorrow here on RFD Today. I'm Rita Frazier. More farm news and information ahead. Stay tuned for more RFD Today here on the Illinois Farm Bureau Radio Network.
Farm Week and Partners Magazine editor Chris Anderson connects rural routes for you. Chris shares her 4 decades of riding expertise by making sure each edition delivers the best information. Here's a bit about her rural roots.
I was raised on a farm in Champaign County growing corn, soybeans, popcorn, pumpkins, and poultry. My top priority is to inform, educate, and even entertain Farm Bureau members.
Be it routes or roots. RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com.